Thank you all. You may all be seated or whatever you are. If everybody could mute themselves and then just unmute when you want to speak up, that way we won't have background interference. First item on the agenda is the one with the microphone. Okay. Update, return to learning. An initial return to learning plan was presented to the governing board on July 8th. In order to execute the plan, provide the necessary support for campuses and families, as well as address the most up-to-date information provided by the Yuma County Health Department and political leadership, the return to learning plan will be reported as a regular update throughout the pandemic. Mrs. Thompson.
So our return to learning plan has been publicized, and we've received a lot of feedback and good questions from our stakeholders. So this is a special board meeting typically set aside for personnel, but I wanted to use this opportunity simply to restate in a public forum that it is a sample of our hybrid plan and that our decisions are still being made with all of the best information about Yuma County from our Yuma County Health Department and leadership throughout our county as well as our state. So I just want to thank everyone on the board for your continued guidance and leadership, and also for the work that we all do in providing choice where we can to all of our stakeholders, and this will continue to remain on as a regular agenda item. Thank you.
Any questions? Hearing none, we'll proceed on. Item 3, choose your learning. A little background, the Yuma Union High School District will offer 3 options for return to learning. Parents will be asked to make the best choice for their child and their circumstances. The primary focus is always health and safety of our students and staff. Any hybrid or in-person offer is dependent upon the current status of Yuma County in regards to the health data trends and or any orders by Governor Ducey. Mrs. Thompson.
Thank you, President Townsend. I'd like to actually turn this over to Eric Patton, our Chief Communications Officer, and Eric Brooks, our Chief Academic Officer. And even though she's deferring to them, I'd like to thank Lisa Anderson and the whole teaching and learning team, as well as YETC, our Yuma Educational Technology Consortium. There's just a lot of people involved with every single thing that we're doing right now. It's impossible to thank everyone, but very proud of the work that we have done and are doing and continue to do at a very fast pace that normally we may not be prepared for. So thank you all. And Eric Patton, I turn it over to you first.
Thank you. The first thing I wanted to do was just go over briefly our website and how to access it for the families that haven't, and just for the board's knowledge. On our website, there's a Choose Your Learning tab on the carousel on the top on the homepage, and you can also access it by going to the COVID-19 tab and going to the Return to Learning plan. So we'll use that to access it right now. If you choose your learning right here, you'll see some brief descriptions, and then you see the 3 models that are offered. So we are looking at on August 6th, returning to learning, distance learning across the board. But after students return, families will have an opportunity to choose one of 3 options, and that would be the hybrid learning model here, the distance learning model through Canvas, and the distance learning model through Yuma Online Distance Academy. And there are some differences between those. I'm just going to really briefly talk about it because we talked about it at our last meeting. The hybrid learning model would be on campus 2 days a week and then taking part in distance learning for 3 days. You'd use the YUHSD Cambridge curriculum. You would have instruction in core subjects and electives, and you would be enrolled at a YUHSD school. For distance learning, you'd also be enrolled in a YUHSD school, but you'd be participating remotely through Canvas 5 days a week. You would still have YUHSD teachers, and you would still be using the YUHSD Cambridge curriculum with instruction in the core subjects and electives. Now for YODA, we'll be using a YUHSD curriculum as noted here, but you'll be taking part in that through YODA instruction. with teachers in Yuma Online Distance Academy, not YUHSD teachers. And that's one of the key differences. The biggest other difference is that Yuma Online Distance Academy is going to be self-paced, and the Distance Academy or distance learning through Canvas is going to be paced learning following the structure of basically what would be an in-person class. For families, when they're making their decisions, there's a lot of other things to consider. Other thing I'll point out is that you're eligible for AIA competition with all three. So you would still be able to participate in high school sports. And for more information about that, I'd encourage families to talk to their individual campuses about that. As you scroll down, you'll notice that there are buttons for new students, including ninth graders, and then buttons for current and returning students. We also have buttons in Spanish. And if you're going to the top of the page, you can also just click the translate button up here, and that'll translate the entire page except for those buttons. So that's why they're in English and Spanish down there. Again, it's a brief survey when you click through. Let's pretend I'm choosing the Canvas option and I click current students. I go to a quick survey, and all I need is about 8 questions answered, indicate which school I'm enrolled at. And at the very bottom, this is probably the most important. It's confirming that that option is the one that you're choosing. So you just click yes, submit, and that would go directly to our data team and our campuses. And it's really being used to inform everybody about what our campus might look like in terms of people coming back in person, people taking part in YOTA, and others that are just going to be taking part in distance learning through Canvas. As of about half an hour ago, we'd had 4,650 respondents already. And this survey was first sent out to families on Saturday morning, and then it was sent again on Tuesday in a text and email through our Blackboard Connect. And it was also shared on social media as a reminder on Monday, and we plan to do that again as we ask families to please, if possible, make their decision by Friday in order to best prepare for the coming school year. With all that stuff, I'm going to turn it over to Eric Brooks, who's going to tell a little bit about how we got all of this plan in one place and put it together.
All right, so to President Townsend and to all, thank you for the opportunity to kind of share some things. As Mr. Patton kind of alluded to, the important thing about making decisions is that we as an organization need to kind of spend some time planning and talking about this. And so I want you to know that the decisions in the 3 different learning plans that you see come with a variety of different meetings and come with a lot of people having discussions, because we want to make sure that our staff not only have their input, but they also have ownership of the plan that we have in place. And so just different examples of how we're doing that is that we meet weekly as a district leadership team, where in the room are all of our campus leadership teams, along with our executive cabinet, along with all of our district leaders. And we're spending time kind of going over each of these different little pieces to the puzzle, because although I work in academics, I might have an input or something to share in regards to facilities and vice versa. So we make sure that those type of things are done because we want to make sure that a number of people have access to the information, a number of people have input in the information, because by having input, that's where ownership comes in. We also have a team of people who are attending via Arizona State University with about 8 or 9 other districts in Arizona. As we're kind of going through our plans and sharing what we're doing, they're doing those same things with us. And so Arizona State University is kind of the host as they facilitate our ideas and our thoughts going through this process, because this is not something that any district should really do alone. And then the wonderful thing about our lives is that after those meetings take place or kind of simultaneously, we're having various meetings of various different portions of our group. So for example, we have next week set up with what we did is we chose kind of one person in each building and kind of said, these are the people that we'd like to spend time in a room with to talk about execution and implementation. Because a lot of times when you kind of create these plans, you have thoughts in your mind of this is how it's going to go. And then you have stuff in your mind, and then all of a sudden you think to yourself, okay, but in order to do this, you have to do that. And so we really want to start involving some of the people who are going to really be doing the implementation. So we have several teachers on board that we're going to be gathering around the table next week. Just kind of spend some time to say, okay, here's what we think this looks like. Are there things that we're missing? Because again, we want to make sure that the 3 different options that we're providing and the things that the way we want to reopen school is really in the best interest of all parties concerned. And so it's been a really exciting time to kind of spend some time around tables, making sure that happens and just kind of having great discussions. And like I said, involving kind of all different pieces of the academic chain. Our teaching and learning chain has not only those of us who work in the district office, there are instructional coaches and instructional leaders who are also a part of that. And each campus is well represented in that area as well. So I just wanted to kind of assure folks that all of those things are being done, and we have to make sure we take the best possible decisions for you. So the earlier you are able to make your decisions, the better we are going to be able to plan for what we can do to best serve your students.
Not sure if anyone has any questions.
Okay, does anyone have any questions? Yes, Ms. Kravitz. Unmute.
Mr. Townsend, I appreciate it. One of the questions I believe we've already answered, which is that they're filling out the return to learning questionnaire is really just a survey, correct? It doesn't lock in the family to that decision. Am I correct?
That is correct, but I would say the decisions are informing in order to better prepare as a principal and administrative team. So that's why we're encouraging phone calls on the front end of the decision to your counselor or your campus leader, because if there are a lot of changes going on, then that directly impacts the physical plant, and as well as when and where students start their own learning. And for instance, if you went back and forth between YUHA Online Distance Academy and Canvas, that's a completely different curriculum, so students would be in different places. If you went back and forth between hybrid and Canvas distance learning, that's much more manageable because we're using the same curriculum. And all of those are nuances that can be best discussed with families who are struggling for a decision. But we do realize if anything is very clear, wow, things change minute to minute right now in our lives. And we want to be a place of helping families, not making any judgment, but trying to help them on the front end for the benefit of the student.
Thank you. A follow-up question that I've been asked often by families in our community is, what will the hybrid learning days look like for their child when they're not physically in school? So is that just assignment based, or is there an avenue where the teacher is delivering instruction in class and the student can quote unquote like peek into the lesson? How is that being addressed?
I'm going to refer to Ms. Anderson because I know that we are also meeting with teachers and we're trying to accommodate. I will tell you that we talked a lot about implementing these types of cameras, much like we're using today. But there's so much training as well as product that comes with that. It is just not feasible or humanly possible to have it set up for this semester. And then, longitudinally speaking, would this be $1 million that would never really have a return on that investment and be put to use? But I just want to, before turning it completely over to Lisa on this, I want to make sure to restate that our teachers have been working since March 13th nonstop to become expert at distance learning delivery. It is not a special class that you take or any training that we've had. So to add in how to use this type of camera system, don't feel like that we have that capability right now. So Lisa, if you could speak directly to Mrs. Kravitz's question about what the days not in class may or may not look like, knowing that you're still meeting with teachers and instructional leaders right now.
So our campus teams, which include administrators and teachers, have been putting together various models of what the hybrid day would look like. So that would include a student in class for 2 days a week and then online distance learning for 3 days a week. We have a teacher group representing all 6 campuses coming to meet with us next Tuesday, Mr. Brooks and myself and the rest of the teaching and learning team, to be able to have a concrete plan ready to the public by the end of the week. So what does the distance learning look like?
Perfect. Thank you very much. That's been a very common question I've received, so I appreciate that.
Definitely
So we should
looking at
get
structure.
more clarification, hopefully by the end of the week.
Yep.
Okay, thanks,
Yes.
Lisa. Thank you.
And I think if, just talking with families and again, bringing to light the life of the teacher, while your child is not in the classroom, other children are in the classroom. And then when the end of the day comes, it's not going to be possible for this teacher to work another 8 hours for all the students who weren't in class that day. So again, trying to be the most respectful of all the safety concerns and keeping everybody in the best productive environment. It's not going to look anything like school has ever looked before. So we're just asking for a little bit of grace from everyone as well with their own children to understand that there are only so many hours in a day that a person can humanly work. And sometimes we forget that when we're so involved electronically and we're text messages and emails are 24/7 literally, and social media and everything, like there's still an end of the human day. And so we're also trying to be respectful of that. But I think that's definitely Board Member Kravitz, something that we're trying to solve.
Yes, no, I'm sure. Thank you so much for clarifying. There are just so many questions that family members have when they're filling out these surveys, and it's great that we can get some information out to them a little bit.
Sure. Thank you for the questions.
Any other questions? Okay, I don't see any. Thank you very much. Very informative. Moving on to item 4, consideration to approve routine personnel. It is recommended the governing board approve the personnel action for administrative certificated and classified employees per the attached list of categories indicated. You should have all received that in an email packet. Is there a motion?
I move that we, the governing board, approve the personnel action for administrative, certificated, and classified employees per the attached list of categories indicated.
I second.
Motion made by Ms. Mellon, seconded by Ms. Kravitz, to approve the personnel action for administrative, certificated, and classified employees per the attached list of categories indicated. Is there any questions or discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. If you raise your hands, please. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item 5 on the agenda, consideration to award IFB 70-20-18-5 HVAC and refrigeration supplies. It is recommended the governing board approve the written determination for a multi-term contract and the approval of award for IFB 70-20-18-5 to Ferguson Enterprises, R.E. Michael Company, and United Refrigeration as noted in the background. Is there a motion?
I move that we, the governing board, approve the written determination for a multi-term contract and the approval of award for the IFB 70-20-18-5 to Ferguson Enterprises, R.E. Michael Company, and United Refrigeration as noted in the background.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Mellon, seconded by Mr. Gwynn, to approve the written determination for a multi-term contract and the approval of award for IFB 70-20-18-5 to Ferguson Enterprises, R.E. Michael Company, and United Refrigeration is noted in the background. Is there any questions or discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. That's it. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. Motion made by Mr. Quinn, second by Mr. Townsend to adjourn. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you for all for being in attendance today. Appreciate it.